Hi. So I just came back from an audition for San Diego Opera Chorus, and it went really well. One of the things the panel asked me was, what does it feel like to sing while very, very pregnant? You know, opera is not an easy genre to sing. It requires a lot of breath control and like depth of breath. And so that's one of the things that I get asked all the time, that how am I able to find such a deep breath with having this big baby in my belly? So I kind of wanted to talk about it a little bit. I want to start off by saying that I have been working with my private voice teacher since before I got pregnant. For a while, I was kind of jumping between different teachers and just seeing what was out there. And then I finally settled on one, and I've been with him for over a year now. I started with him in January of 2025, which is January 2024. So we're in 2025 now. And so it's been over a year now that I've been working with him, and that has been really helpful. And so he's been kind of like a sounding board to help me process the new feelings that I'm getting as I progress and start to grow. But yeah, one of the things was, first of all, was being able to access the back and getting the sense of openness in the back, whereas before I was able to get away with really just putting pressure here. But there's only so much I can do now that I have a big baby there. But yeah, so really was just kind of like reimagining my sense of support, where they call that an expansiveness in the back when I take my breaths. But towards the end of my pregnancy, we kind of realized that I started overcorrecting to where this lower part here, my pelvic floor, I was really contracting to get a sense of stability, when really I kind of just needed to drop into it and soften, because my body was already doing what it needed to support baby from underneath me. And so yeah, that's really what I was focusing on this audition as well, was to be as relaxed as possible down there, because my body was already naturally trying to lift up. And it actually really helped. You know, I feel like there was more depth in my sound. I felt less of this happening. It was a very balanced, you know, because you do have to have that lift up here, but then it also comes down to making sure there's enough weight down here as well, so that we have the motion of this, the sensation of this while we're singing. And yeah, they told me that they were very impressed with my lines and everything, and that they were surprised that I could sing like that, considering that I'm giving birth in like 5 days, if all goes well. So yeah. Yeah, when I actually covered this topic with my teacher at my last lesson a few days ago. Sorry, that's my dog. The last thing we talked about, I actually started crying during my lesson, right? So at my last lesson, okay. Something that happened at my last lesson, which was, I have them on Mondays, so that was almost a week ago, that happened, we were talking about that, the overcorrection. And it was interesting that when I kind of loosened the grip that I had on me trying to support my belly while singing, I loosened it, I could feel my baby more while I was singing. And in my mind, it almost processed as if I was making my baby vibrate while I was singing, you know? And something about that made me super emotional, that I like started crying during my lesson. And it just felt like, yeah, that is kind of a pattern that I have in myself as well, where I try to overcorrect things and then I kind of do too much rather than approaching it with a little bit more ease and relaxation. I don't want to say curiosity, but yeah, it's like a little bit less like I need to do, you know. That made me so emotional, and I started like crying because I wish I had kind of put that together sooner. But you know, I've never been pregnant before, and this is a process in and of itself. But yeah, I used that today for my audition, and I think it felt really good, and it was the most calm I've been while performing and the most grounded I've felt. So singing is a very empowering craft to go through, because it's your body and really understanding your body. And it's one of my favorite things about being a vocalist, especially in opera. It demands so much of you, and you can only go deeper once you've reflected within yourself to get deeper within your body. You know, you can't just pound away at your instrument in hopes that it gets better. You have to really take the time to reflect and digest what's happening and what you're feeling. So yeah, I do teach. So if this is something that interests you and you've always wanted to find depth within your body as you sing, let me know. I do in-person and virtual lessons. And I do believe that with solid awareness of your body, you develop a technique that can honestly be applied to every which genre. You know, if you can sing one thing, if you can develop a structure and technique to sing one song, if you did it the right way, you can apply that to all songs. So if you're looking for something like that, feel free to reach out. I would love to work with you. Yeah.